I sat in my home office at 11:30, still wearing the dress shirt from the celebration, staring at the screen. The email sat in my inbox like a splinter under skin. Subject line, transfer authorization, final approval required. I hadn't sent it, but it came from my address, my signature block, my account. And the timestamp read 4:47 p.m., 2 hours before anyone had even said surprise in that private event space above Marcello's downtown. I clicked it open. The body was brief, professional, cold. Per our discussion, attached please find the updated operational authority documentation requiring your final digital signature. This will complete the transition process as agreed. Please confirm receipt and approval by EOD Monday. Attached. A PDF I'd never seen. I opened it. 32 pages of corporate restructuring documents. Every paragraph referenced conversations I'd never had, decisions I'd never made, agreements I'd never agreed to. My name appeared 17 times. My digital signature sat at the bottom of page 32, dated today, timestamped 4:51 p.m. I leaned back in the chair. The leather creaked. Outside, a car passed slowly down the residential street, headlights sweeping across the window blinds. 4:51. I'd been in the car with my wife at 4:51, driving to what I thought was a casual dinner. She'd been fixing her earring. I'd been checking my phone at a red light. No emails, no notifications. I scrolled back through my sent folder. Nothing. I checked the trash. Nothing. I opened the email headers, copied the metadata, pasted it into a text file. The routing information showed the message had originated from my account, passed through our company's mail server, been delivered to my inbox at 6:52 p.m., right as they'd been cutting the retirement cake. The cake had been chocolate, 3 layers, my favorite. My son had insisted on ordering it himself. I picked up my phone and called him. It rang 4 times before he answered. Background noise, voices, music, the clatter of dishes being cleared. He was still at the after-party gathering, the smaller group that had moved to someone's house after Marcello's closed the private room. "Hey, Dad, everything okay?" His voice was warm, relaxed, just drunk enough to sound genuine. "Quick question," I said. "Did you send me something earlier today? An email?" Pause. Half a second too long. "An email? No. Why?" "I got something from my own account. Weird spam thing, probably. Wanted to make sure it wasn't you trying to forward me something and accidentally using reply instead of forward." "Nope, wasn't me. Probably just a glitch. You know how email gets sometimes." "Yeah, probably." "You feeling all right? Big day? Lots of emotions?" "I'm fine. Just tired." "Get some rest. We'll grab breakfast this week, okay? I want to hear about your plans. You've earned some downtime." "Sure. Sounds good." "Love you, Dad." "You too." I hung up. He'd lied. Not about loving me. That part was probably true, in whatever version of love he still had access to. But he'd lied about the email. I could hear it in the pause, in the tone shift, in the way he'd pivoted immediately to concern, to distraction, to paternal affection that felt like a redirect. I opened the PDF again and read it slowly this time. Really read it. The document was a Delegation of Operational Authority agreement. It transferred day-to-day control of the company from me to a newly formed executive committee. The committee consisted of 3 people, my senior business partner, the operations manager, and my son. My son, who'd been working at the company for 6 years. My son, who I'd brought in fresh out of college because he was smart and eager and I wanted to build something we could share. My son, who'd spent the last 2 years in the operations division, learning the guts of the business, asking good questions, taking initiative. My son, who'd apparently decided I was done before I'd decided it myself. I kept reading. The agreement referenced a verbal understanding established during a meeting on March 12th. I checked my calendar. March 12th, I'd been in Denver at a supplier conference. Nowhere near the office, nowhere near a meeting. Another paragraph mentioned email correspondence confirming intent, dated April 9th. I searched my email for anything from that date. Found a thread about updating the company insurance policy. Nothing about operational authority. The document was a fabrication, but the signature was real. My digital signature, generated by the authentication software the company used for contracts, required my physical security key, a USB device I kept on my keychain, and my PIN. I pulled my keys from my pocket. The security key was there, attached to the ring, a small black rectangle with the company logo. I plugged it into my laptop and opened the authentication log. The log showed every time the key had been used in the last 90 days. Mostly contract approvals, client agreements, vendor authorizations. And there, timestamped 4:51 p.m. today. Transfer authorization. Final approval required. I stared at the entry. The key had been in my pocket all day. I'd driven to Marcello's, parked, walked in, been surprised, genuinely surprised, by the balloons and the banner and the applause. I hadn't touched the key, but someone had used it. I opened my laptop's activity log and filtered for USB connections. At 4:51 p.m., the log showed USB device connected. At 4:52 p.m., USB device disconnected. 1 minute, just long enough to authenticate and approve the document. I felt my jaw tighten. My wife appeared in the doorway, still in her dress from the party, holding 2 glasses of wine. She saw my face and stopped. "What's wrong?" I turned the laptop toward her. "Look at this." She set the glasses down and leaned over my shoulder, reading. She was an auditor before we got married. 20 years analyzing corporate financial structures, finding discrepancies, tracking paper trails. She'd left the profession when our son was born, but the instincts never faded. She read in silence for 30 seconds, then straightened. "When did you sign this?" "I didn't." "Your signature's on it." "I know. So someone used your key." "While it was in my pocket." She pulled up a chair and sat next to me, her eyes scanning the document again. "This isn't a hack. This is access, legacy access." "What do you mean?" "Look at the metadata. This wasn't sent from a spoofed account. It was sent from your actual account using your actual authentication. Whoever did this had permission. They didn't break in. They walked through the front door." She clicked through the document properties. "This PDF was created using the company's internal template system. You can't access that externally. You need to be logged into the company network. So someone was in the office, or working remotely with full admin credentials." I thought about that. "I gave my son admin access 2 years ago. He was running point on a client project and needed to approve things when I was traveling." She looked at me. "Did you ever revoke it?" I hadn't. She opened a new browser tab and logged into the company's admin portal using my credentials. It took 3 tries. I'd changed the password 6 months ago and couldn't remember if I'd used the underscore or the hyphen. Finally, the dashboard loaded. She navigated to the user permissions panel and pulled up the access log. My son's name appeared in the delegated admin column. Status, active. Last login, today, 4:43 p.m. Session duration, 14 minutes. I felt something cold settle into my chest. My wife clicked into the session details. The log showed exactly what he'd accessed during those 14 minutes. 4:43 p.m. Login from remote IP address. 4:44 p.m. Open document template system. 4:45 p.m. Created new document. Transfer authorization. Final approval required. 4:47 p.m. Sent document to primary email account. 4:49 p.m. Accessed authentication token system. 4:51 p.m. Generated approval signature using delegated credentials. 4:52 p.m. Logged out. He hadn't needed my physical key. He'd used his delegated access to simulate my approval, generating a digital signature that looked identical to the one I would have created myself. And he'd done it before the party. Before the speeches, before the cake. While I was in the car, driving toward what I thought was a surprise celebration, my son had been erasing me from my own company. My wife sat back. "This is premeditated." "I know." "This isn't a mistake. This isn't a miscommunication. He planned this." "I know." She turned to look at me. "What are you going to do?" I didn't answer right away. I minimized the admin portal and opened my email again, scrolling through the messages from the last 3 months. I was looking for something I'd missed, some hint, some warning sign. There. An email from my senior partner, dated 6 weeks ago. Subject: transition planning. I'd skimmed it at the time, assumed it was about client handoffs, maybe some restructuring of project teams, standard stuff. I opened it now and read carefully. As we discussed during last week's meeting, I think it makes sense to formalize the operational transition before your retirement date. This will give the new leadership team time to establish credibility with clients and stakeholders. I've asked your son to draft a proposal outlining the timeline and key milestones. Let's plan to review together next month. I checked the calendar again. Last week's meeting would have been the Monday I'd been in Denver. There had been no meeting, but my partner thought there had been, which meant someone had told him there was. Someone had created the fiction of a conversation, referenced it in writing, built a paper trail that made it real. I opened another email, this one from the operations manager, dated 4 weeks ago. Per your request, I've updated the org chart to reflect the new reporting structure. Attached is the revised version for your approval. I'd never made that request. I opened the attachment. The org chart showed my name at the top, but with a new designation. Founder, advisory role. Below me, a new tier. Executive committee, 3 names, partner, operations manager, my son. Below them, everyone else. I was still on the chart, but I'd been moved up and out, elevated into irrelevance. My wife was watching me. They've been setting this up for weeks. Longer, I said. Look at this. I pulled up the company's internal file server and navigated to the shared drives. There was a folder I'd never seen before, created 3 months ago, labeled Succession Planning. Inside, dozens of documents, memos, drafts, timelines, stakeholder analyses. I opened one at random. It was a communication strategy outlining how to message the transition to clients and employees. The language was careful, respectful. It talked about honoring the founder's legacy while ensuring continuity of leadership. Another document was a financial projection, modeling the company's revenue under new management. The numbers were optimistic, aggressive even, too aggressive. I recognized the methodology. It was the same approach my son had used when pitching his initial projects: inflate the potential, downplay the risks, make everything sound inevitable. He was good at it. I'd been proud of that skill once. Now I was reading it used against me. My wife stood and walked to the window, arms crossed, staring out at the dark street. You need to decide tonight. Decide what? Whether you're going to fight this. Of course I'm going to fight this. She turned. Are you? Because right now, legally, they haven't done anything wrong. Your son used access you gave him. Your partner thinks you approved all of this. Even this document. She gestured at the laptop. It's shady, but it's not fraud. Not technically. You can raise hell, call lawyers, burn bridges, or you can walk away. Take the retirement. Let them have it. Let them steal my company. It's not stealing if you gave them the keys. I stood. I didn't give them permission to erase me. But you gave them access. You trusted your son. You delegated authority. And now he's used it. So the question is, what do you actually want? Do you want the company back? Do you want to prove a point? Do you want revenge? I didn't answer. She walked back to the desk and closed the laptop. Think about it tonight. Because once you make a move, you can't take it back. She picked up the wine glasses and left the room. I sat in the silence. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the window frame. A dog barked somewhere down the block. A notification chimed on my phone, a text from my partner. Great party tonight. Well deserved. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I deleted it. Then I opened the admin portal again and started taking screenshots. Every log entry, every document, every piece of evidence that proved what my son had done and when he'd done it. I saved them to an encrypted folder on an external hard drive. Then I went to bed. My wife was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the last 6 years. My son had been 22 when I brought him into the company. Fresh. Hungry. A little arrogant, but in the way young men are when they think the world is waiting for them to claim it. I'd liked that arrogance. I'd seen myself in it. He'd started in client services, taking calls, managing schedules, learning the rhythm of the business. Within a year, he'd moved into operations. Within 2, he was running projects solo. I'd been proud. I'd told people, clients, partners, employees, that my son was the future of the company, that he had instincts I couldn't teach, that he understood the work in a way that made me confident about stepping back someday. Someday, not today, not like this. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but my mind kept circling back to the same moment. The party, the speeches, the applause. My son had stood at the front of the room, holding a glass of champagne, smiling. He'd said, "My father built something incredible, and now it's our job to protect it, to grow it, to make sure his legacy lasts." Everyone had clapped. I'd believed him. 2 hours after he'd already signed my name to a document that erased me, I opened my eyes. The ceiling fan turned slowly, casting shadows across the room. I got out of bed, went back to the office, and opened the document one more time. At the bottom of page 32, below my forged signature, there was a line I'd missed before. Effective immediately upon approval. Not Monday, not next week, immediately. Which meant that, as of 4:52 p.m. today, I was no longer in control of my own company. I was advisory, I was legacy, I was done. I sat back in the chair and laughed. It was a short, sharp sound, not quite bitter, not quite amused, just the sound of a man realizing he'd been beaten by someone he'd taught to play the game. Then I stopped laughing and started planning. I didn't sleep. At 4:30 in the morning, I gave up pretending and made coffee. My wife found me at the kitchen table an hour later, surrounded by printouts and notes. She poured herself a cup and sat across from me, silent. "I found something," I said. She waited. I slid a document across the table. "Scheduled task, set to execute Monday morning at 9 a.m. She scanned it. "What does it do?" "Sends an automated email to every client, every vendor, every stakeholder. The subject line is Leadership Transition Announcement. The body explains that I've retired, effective immediately, and introduces the new executive committee. It thanks me for my service and assures everyone that the transition has been carefully planned to ensure continuity. And you never approved this. I never even saw it until an hour ago." She set the document down. "So they're not just taking control, they're managing the narrative. They're making it look mutual, like I agreed, like this was my idea." "Was it?" I looked at her. She didn't flinch. "I'm serious. Had you talked about retiring? Had you mentioned stepping back?" "Sure, in the abstract, someday, when the time was right." "And when was that going to be?" "I don't know, not now." "But you've been saying someday for what, 3 years?" 2. "And in that time, your son has been taking on more responsibility. Your partner has been pushing for succession planning. The operations manager has been restructuring teams. They've been preparing for this." "Without telling me." "Or maybe they thought you knew. Maybe they thought someday meant soon. And when you didn't commit to a date, they chose one for you." I stood and refilled my coffee. My hands were steady. That surprised me. "You think I'm overreacting?" "I think you're hurt and angry, and you have every right to be. But I also think you need to separate what they did from why they did it. They forged my signature. They used delegated access you gave them. Same thing." "It's not. And if you're going to fight this, you need to be clear about what actually happened versus what you feel happened." I sat back down. "Fine. What actually happened is that my son used administrative credentials I gave him to generate a digital signature that authorized a transfer of operational authority while I was on my way to a retirement party I didn't know was happening. He did this without consulting me. He scheduled an announcement to go out Monday morning that makes it look like I approved everything, and he lied to my face about it last night." She nodded. "That's accurate." "And you think I should just let it go?" "I think you should decide what you want the outcome to be. If you want your company back, you're going to have to prove they acted without authority, which means proving you never agreed to any of this, which means depositions, lawyers, possible litigation. It'll take months, maybe years. And at the end of it, even if you win, the company will be damaged. Clients will leave, employees will bail, you'll get control of a sinking ship. So I do nothing. Or you do something else." "Like what?" She leaned forward. "You spent 30 years building that company. You know every process, every relationship, every pressure point. If you want to hurt them, you don't need lawyers. You need leverage." I stared at her. She smiled, small, sharp. "I'm just saying, there's more than one way to win." She stood, kissed the top of my head, and left me alone with the printouts. I read through the scheduled announcement again. It was well written, professional, almost kind. It made me sound grateful. It made my son sound humble. It made the whole thing sound inevitable. I picked up my phone and called the IT contractor who'd set up our security systems 2 years ago. He answered on the third ring, voice rough with sleep. "It's 6 a.m. I know, I need a favor." "What kind of favor?" "The kind that stays between us." Pause. "I'm listening." "I need to know if someone accessed my laptop remotely in the last 72 hours. "Why would someone do that?" "That's not the question." Another pause. "I'd need physical access to the machine." "I'll bring it to you." "When?" "Now." He sighed. "Fine. I'll put coffee on." I grabbed the laptop and my keys and left before my wife could ask questions. The contractor lived in a converted industrial loft downtown, above a coffee roasting facility. The air smelled like burnt sugar and diesel. He opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, eyes still half closed. I handed him the laptop. "What am I looking for?" "Remote access. Specifically, whether someone logged in using admin credentials while I wasn't physically present." He carried the laptop to a workbench cluttered with monitors and equipment. "This is going to take a while." "I'll wait." I sat on a stool and watched him work. He moved through command lines and system logs with the kind of ease that comes from doing the same thing 1,000 times. 20 minutes later, he stopped. "Found it." I stood. "What?" He pointed at the screen. "Someone accessed your laptop remotely 4 days ago. Thursday afternoon, they were logged in for about 90 minutes. "Can you tell what they did?" He clicked through the logs. "They accessed your email, your file server, Your admin portal. He paused. And they installed a keylogger. A what? A keylogger. It records everything you type. Passwords, pins, anything. And sends it where? He checked the configuration. To an encrypted email address. Looks like a burner account. Can you trace it? Not without a warrant, but I can tell you when it was installed and when it started transmitting. When? Installed Thursday at 2:15 p.m. First transmission Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Last transmission yesterday at 4:45 p.m. Right before the party, right before the email, right before everything. I sat back down. Someone's been watching everything I do for 4 days. Looks like it. Can you remove it? Yeah, but whoever installed it will know you found it. I don't care. He typed for a few minutes, then closed the laptop. Done. But you should change all your passwords. Every account, every system, and enable two-factor authentication on anything that supports it. Will that stop them? It'll slow them down, but if they have admin access to your systems, they can probably reset your credentials anyway. So I'm screwed. Not necessarily. You just need to revoke their access before they realize you're onto them. I thought about that. If I revoke access, they'll know immediately. Probably. Which gives them time to cover their tracks. Or escalate. I stood. How long would it take you to clone my entire system? Every file, every log, every piece of data? Couple hours. Why? Because I need a backup. Something they can't touch. He looked at me. You planning something illegal? No. You planning something stupid? Probably. He grinned. I'll get the drives. 3 hours later, I left the loft with 2 encrypted hard drives containing complete copies of my laptop, my email server, and my company's admin portal. Everything my son had done was preserved. Every login, every document, every lie. I stopped at a coffee shop and sat in the back corner, laptop open, working through the next steps. First, I needed to know who else was involved. I opened the admin portal and pulled up the access logs for the last 6 months. I filtered by user and started cross-referencing activity. My son's access was frequent, daily, sometimes multiple times a day, but it wasn't random. He was methodical. He accessed specific systems at specific times, always during business hours, always when I was out of the office or traveling. My partner's access was less frequent but more strategic. He logged in once or twice a week, usually to review financial reports or approve contracts. But 3 months ago, his pattern changed. He started accessing the succession planning folder. Regularly, consistently. The operations manager's access was constant. She was in the system every day, managing workflows, updating records, but starting 8 weeks ago, she'd been accessing employee files, reviewing performance records, updating job descriptions. They were preparing to restructure. They were getting ready to reassign teams. They were planning a company that didn't include me. I saved the logs and closed the laptop. My phone buzzed. A text from my son. Hey, Dad. Want to grab breakfast tomorrow? My treat? I stared at the message. He was being friendly, casual, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just stolen my company. I typed a response. Sure. What time? 9? That diner you like on 4th? Sounds good? Great. See you then. I deleted the thread. Then I called my wife. I'm coming home. We need to talk. She was waiting in the living room when I got back. I set the hard drives on the coffee table and sat across from her. What are those? Insurance. I told her everything. The remote access. The keylogger. The logs. The pattern of activity that proved this wasn't spontaneous. This was coordinated. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, What do you want to do? I want to know why. Does it matter? Yes. Why? Because if they just wanted control, they could have asked. I would have stepped aside, eventually, but they didn't ask. They took. And I need to know why they thought that was necessary. She leaned back. Maybe they thought you'd say no. Maybe I would have. So they didn't want to risk it. Or they didn't want to wait. She nodded. So what's your plan? I'm having breakfast with him tomorrow. And I'm going to ask him. You think he'll tell you the truth? No, but I'll see it anyway. She studied me. You're not going to yell. You're not going to accuse. You're just going to sit across from him and watch him lie. Yes. And then? Then I'll decide what happens next. She stood and walked to the window. Be careful. He's your son. I know. Do you? Because right now you're looking at him like he's an enemy. He made himself one. She turned. He made a choice you don't agree with. That's not the same thing. He forged my signature. He spied on me. He's been planning this for months. And you're planning revenge. So where does that leave you? I didn't answer. She sighed. Just remember, whatever you do to him, you'll have to live with, and so will I. She left the room. I sat alone, staring at the hard drives. Outside, the afternoon light was fading. The street was quiet. I picked up my phone and opened the calendar. The automated announcement was scheduled for Monday at 9 a.m. That gave me 36 hours. 36 hours to decide if I was going to stop it, or let it happen, or do something else entirely. I looked at the hard drives again. Everything was there. The proof, the timeline, the evidence. I could take it to a lawyer, build a case, fight this legally. Or I could take it to my son and watch him try to explain it. Or I could take it to the clients and let them decide who they trusted. Or I could do nothing. Let the announcement go out. Let them have the company, walk away clean, start over, somewhere else, something new. I closed my eyes and tried to imagine it. A clean break, no fight, no bitterness, just gone. I couldn't. Not because I loved the company too much to let go, but because I couldn't let them win like this. Not without knowing the cost. I opened my eyes and started typing an email to myself, scheduled to send Monday morning at 8:55 a.m., 5 minutes before their announcement. The subject line, regarding recent unauthorized actions. The body was simple, 3 sentences. I did not authorize the operational transfer announced this morning. I did not approve the succession plan referenced in recent communications. Any statements suggesting otherwise are inaccurate and should be disregarded pending further clarification. I attached the access logs. I attached the forged signature documentation. I attached the timeline showing exactly when my son had accessed my systems and what he'd done. Then I added every client to the recipient list. Every vendor, every stakeholder, everyone who would receive the transition announcement at 9 a.m. would receive my rebuttal at 8:55. I hovered over the send button. My wife's voice echoed in my head. Whatever you do to him, you'll have to live with. I clicked send. The email moved to the scheduled folder. I closed the laptop and went to bed. This time, I slept. Sunday morning, I woke to silence. No calls, no texts, no emails. The calm before. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, watching the light change through the window. My wife joined me after a while. She didn't say anything, just poured her own cup and sat across from me. We stayed like that for 20 minutes. Finally, she said, "You're sure?" It wasn't a question. "I'm sure." She nodded. "Okay." At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from my partner. "Can we meet? Today? Before tomorrow?" I showed it to my wife. "Are you going to go?" "What's the point?" Maybe he has something new to say. Or maybe he's just stalling. Either way, it might be worth hearing. I thought about it. "Fine. I'll meet him," I texted back. "Where?" "My house. 10 a.m. "I'll be there." I drove across town to the neighborhood where my partner lived. Large houses, manicured lawns, the kind of place where success was measured in square footage and curb appeal. He was waiting on the front porch when I pulled up. I got out and walked over. He gestured to the chairs. "Thanks for coming. What do you want?" He sat. I stayed standing. "I want to understand what's happening," he said. "Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like a misunderstanding that's spiraling out of control." "It's not a misunderstanding." "Then what is it?" "It's theft. It's fraud. It's my son and his spouse systematically taking control of my company while I was planning my retirement party." He frowned. "That's not how I see it." "How do you see it?" "I see a transition that was planned collaboratively with input from multiple stakeholders, executed in a way that prioritizes business continuity. And the forged signature, the fabricated documents, the backdated files? I don't know what you're referring to." I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots. "These." He took the phone and scrolled through. His expression didn't change. After a minute, he handed it back. "This doesn't prove anything. It proves your timeline is a lie. It proves there are discrepancies, which could be explained by server errors, sync issues, any number of technical glitches. Or it proves my son created fake documents to justify a decision I never made. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious crime." He leaned back. "You want to take this to court?" "I want the truth to come out." "The truth is subjective. My truth is that we've been planning this transition for months with your implicit approval. Your son's truth is that he acted in the best interest of the company. Your truth is that you feel blindsided. None of that is objectively provable. The logs are objective. The logs show activity. They don't show intent." I stepped closer. Why are you defending him? I'm not defending him. I'm defending the company. By lying? By protecting stability. If you send that email tomorrow, you're going to create chaos. Clients will panic. Employees will start looking for other jobs. Within a month, everything we've built will be at risk. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you helped him steal it. I didn't help him steal anything. You enabled it. You looked the other way. You let him fabricate a narrative, and you went along with it because it was convenient. I went along with it because I thought it was real. And now? He looked away. Now I don't know what to think. I sat in the chair across from him. Let me make this simple. Tomorrow morning at 8:55, an email goes out. It explains what happened, it provides evidence, it gives people the information they need to make their own decisions. After that, it's out of my hands. And if I ask you not to send it, then I'll ask you why you're more concerned about appearances than integrity. He didn't answer. I stood. I'm done here. Wait, I stopped. What if I can get him to admit it, to come clean, publicly? Would that change anything? Why would he do that? Because I'll tell him to. Because I'll make it clear that if he doesn't, I'll side with you. You think he'll listen? I think he's smart enough to see when he's out of options. I considered it. If he admits what he did in writing to every client and stakeholder and agrees to step down immediately, then I'll cancel the email. What about the documents, the evidence you've collected? I keep it as insurance. And if he refuses, then the email goes out, as planned. He nodded. I'll talk to him. You have until midnight. I left. By the time I got home, my phone was already buzzing. A call from my partner. I answered. He won't do it. What? I talked to him. I explained the situation. I told him you were willing to back down if he came clean. He refused. Why? He said it would destroy his credibility, that no one would ever take him seriously again, that he'd rather face the consequences of your email than admit to fraud. So he's choosing pride over integrity. He's choosing survival. In his mind, your email is survivable. An admission of guilt isn't. Then he's miscalculated. Maybe, or maybe he's right. Maybe the clients will see your email as sour grapes. Maybe they'll side with him anyway. That's his gamble. It's yours too. I hung up. My wife was standing in the doorway. He said no. He said no. So it's happening. It's happening. She came over and sat next to me. Do you want to know what I think? Always. I think you're right, about everything. What he did was wrong. The way he did it was worse. And he deserves to face consequences. But I also think you're underestimating how much this is going to cost you. Not just professionally, personally. You're about to blow up your relationship with your son. Permanently. And I need you to be sure that's a price you're willing to pay. I looked at her. What would you do? I'm not you. I didn't build that company. I don't have the same history with him. But if you were me, she sighed, I'd probably do the same thing, but I'd hate myself for it. I already hate myself for it. Then why do it? Because the alternative is pretending this never happened, and I can't do that. She nodded. Okay, then I'm with you, all the way. She kissed my forehead and left. I sat alone in the silence. Outside, the afternoon light was golden and soft, the kind of light that makes everything look gentle. I didn't feel gentle. I felt tired, and certain, and sad. At 6 p.m., my phone buzzed again. A text from my son. I know you're going through with it. I just want you to know I don't blame you. I knew the risks. I made my choice. Now you're making yours. I hope you can live with it. I read it 3 times. Then I typed a response. I hope you can too. I hit send. Then I turned off the phone. I spent the rest of the evening organizing files, double-checking timestamps, making sure everything was ready. At 11 p.m., I opened the laptop one final time. The scheduled email sat in the draft folder, waiting. I read it through one last time. The language was clear, direct, unemotional. It laid out the facts, the timeline, the evidence. It didn't accuse. It didn't attack. It just presented the information and let people draw their own conclusions. I moved the cursor to the cancel button. Hovered there. Then I closed the laptop without clicking it. I went to bed. Tomorrow, at 8:55 a.m., the email would send, and everything would change. I woke at 6 a.m. My wife was already up. I found her in the kitchen, making eggs. Couldn't sleep? I asked. Not really. You? A little. She slid a plate in front of me. Eat. You're going to need your strength. I ate without tasting anything. At 7, I checked the laptop. The scheduled email was still queued. 2 hours to go. I opened the admin portal and checked the activity logs. My son had logged in at 3 a.m. He'd spent 90 minutes accessing files, reviewing documents, copying data. He was building his own insurance. Smart. At 7:30, my phone buzzed. A text from the operations manager. I don't know what you're planning, but I want you to know whatever happens. I respect you. You built something incredible. Don't let this destroy it. I didn't respond. At 8 a.m., another text. My partner. Last chance. I can delay the transition announcement. Give us a week to sort this out privately, I typed back. No. At 8:30, a call from an unknown number. I answered. Mr. Brennan? A woman's voice. Professional, clipped. Yes. This is Jennifer Hastings. I'm an attorney representing your son. I'm calling to inform you that if you proceed with sending defamatory communications to clients or stakeholders, we will pursue legal action for damages. Defamatory? Any communication that falsely accuses my client of fraud or misconduct. I'm not making accusations. I'm presenting facts. Facts that are disputed. Disputes don't make them false. We'll let a court decide that. Looking forward to it. I hung up. My wife appeared in the doorway. Who was that? My son's lawyer. He hired a lawyer? Apparently. They're serious. So am I. At 8:45, I opened the laptop and logged into my email. The scheduled message was still there, and 10 minutes to send. I sat back and waited. My wife stood behind me, hands on my shoulders. You can still stop it, she said quietly. I know. But you're not going to. No. Okay. At 8:50, my phone rang. My son. I let it ring. At 8:52, a text from him. Please, don't do this. I set the phone face down. At 8:54, another call. My partner. I didn't answer. At 8:55, the email sent. I watched the draft folder empty. Then I opened my sent folder and confirmed it had gone out. Subject: regarding recent unauthorized actions. Recipients: every client, every vendor, every stakeholder. Sent. I closed the laptop. My wife squeezed my shoulders. It's done, I said. It's done. We sat in silence for a minute. Then my phone started buzzing. Calls, texts, emails. I turned it off. What now? My wife asked. Now we wait. But we didn't have to wait long. At 9:15, my partner called the house landline. My wife answered, then handed me the phone. It's chaos, my partner said. The clients are calling. The employees are panicking. The board wants an emergency meeting. And your son just resigned. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What? He sent an email 10 minutes ago, effective immediately. He's out. Just like that? Just like that. He said he didn't want to be a distraction, that the company needed stability, that he was stepping aside to allow for a proper review of the transition process. So he's running. He's protecting himself. Same thing. Maybe, but it doesn't matter now. He's gone. The question is, what do you want? What do I want? Do you want to come back, take control again? The board is willing to reinstate you if you're interested. I laughed. Short. Bitter. They're willing to reinstate me. Yes. After they tried to force me out. They didn't force you out. Your son did. They were misled. Just like I was. And you believe that? I believe it's the most convenient narrative. For who? For everyone. You get your company back. They get stability. Your son takes the fall and everyone moves on. Except my son. He made his choice. I looked at my wife. She was watching me carefully. I need to think about it, I said. The board meets at noon. They need an answer by then. I'll call you back. I hung up. My wife sat across from me. What are you going to do? I don't know. Do you want to go back? Part of me does. And the other part? The other part knows it won't be the same. Even if I go back, even if they reinstate me, it's tainted now. Everyone will know what happened. Every decision I make will be second-guessed. Every hire, every contract, every strategy. They'll wonder if I'm doing it because it's right or because I'm trying to prove something. So you walk away. And do what? Whatever you want. You're retired, remember? That was the original plan. That was before. Before what? Before you knew your son was willing to betray you? You know now. You can't unknow it. So the question is, do you want to spend the next 5 years working at a company where your son used to work, where everyone knows what he did, where every day is a reminder of this moment? Or do you want to leave it behind and start something new? I didn't answer. She stood. I'm going for a walk. Think about what you want, not what you think you should want. What you actually want. She left. I sat at the table, staring at the wall. My phone still offsat on the counter. I turned it back on. 73 missed calls. I ignored them and opened my email on the laptop. The responses were already coming in. Some clients were supportive. They thanked me for the transparency. They said they'd always trusted me and wanted to continue the relationship. Others were neutral. They acknowledged the situation and said they'd wait for more information before making any decisions. A few were angry. They said the email was unprofessional, that I was airing dirty laundry, that this should have been handled privately. I scrolled through them without responding. Then I saw one from my son. Subject, I'm sorry. I opened it. The body was short. Dad, I know you won't believe this, but I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was helping. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I hope someday you can forgive me. I understand if you can't. I read it 3 times. Then I closed it and moved it to trash. At 11 a.m., my wife came back. Did you decide? I'm not going back. She nodded. Good. Good? You don't belong there anymore. Not after this. You deserve better. Better like what? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I called my partner. I'm not coming back, I said. You're sure? I'm sure. Can I ask why? Because it's not mine anymore. Maybe it never was. He was quiet for a moment. I understand. Do you? I think so. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have questioned things more. I should have pushed back. Yeah, you should have. I know. Good luck with the board meeting. Thanks. I hung up. My wife came over and sat next to me. What now? Now we figure out what's next. Any ideas? A few? Want to share? Not yet. She smiled. Fair enough. We sat together in the silence. Outside, the world continued. Cars passed, birds sang. The sun moved across the sky. Inside, something had ended. And something else, something I couldn't name yet, was beginning. The next 2 days blurred together. Calls from clients, emails from employees, messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years, all of them wanting to know what was happening, what I was going to do, whether I was coming back. I answered none of them. Instead, I spent the time organizing. I created a detailed archive of everything related to the company contracts, client lists, financial records, strategic plans. I copied it all to an encrypted drive and stored it in a safe deposit box. Then I started severing ties. I removed myself from the company's bank accounts. I transferred my ownership shares to a trust. I changed my email signature to remove any affiliation. By Wednesday, I was officially done. No position, no title, no connection. My wife watched me work through it all without comment. She knew when to give space. On Thursday morning, I woke to a text from an unknown number. This is Hastings. I represent your son. He'd like to meet. In person. Neutral location. No lawyers. Just the 2 of you. I showed it to my wife. Are you going to go? I don't know. What would you say to him? I don't know that either. Then maybe you should wait until you do know. I set the phone down and went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet. Mid-morning on a weekday. Most people were at work. I walked for an hour, no destination, just moving. When I got back, my wife was in the garden, pruning roses. You figure it out? She asked. No. That's okay. You don't have to. I sat on the porch steps and watched her work. After a while, she said, Do you miss it? The company? Yeah. Sometimes. Not the politics, not the stress, but the work itself. Yeah, I miss that. So do it again. Do what? The work. Start something new, something that's just yours. I'm too old to start over. You're 63. That's not old. It's not young. So what? You've got experience, resources, relationships. You could build something better than what you had. Without my son. Without anyone who doesn't deserve to be there. I thought about that. What would I even build? Whatever you want. That's the whole point. I leaned back against the railing. I'd need a team. So hire one. I'd need capital. You have capital. I'd need clients. You have clients. The ones who responded to your email, half of them, said they'd work with you directly if you ever started something new. I hadn't thought about that. You really think I should do this? I think you should do something. Sitting around being bitter isn't going to work for you." She was right. I went inside and opened my laptop. I pulled up the responses to my email and filtered for the supportive ones. 37 clients had said they'd be interested in working with me independently. 37. That was more than enough to start. I opened a new document and started sketching out a plan. A consulting firm. Small, focused, no employees. Just me and a network of trusted contractors. Low overhead, high flexibility, complete control. I worked on it for 3 hours. By the time I finished, I had a basic structure. I showed it to my wife. She read it, then looked up. "When do you start?" "I need to make some calls first, see who's actually serious. And if they are, then I start Monday," she smiled. "Good." I spent the rest of the day reaching out to the clients who'd expressed interest. I kept the conversations short, professional, no drama, no explanations, just, "I'm starting something new. Are you interested?" 23 said yes immediately. 8 said they needed to think about it. 6 said they were locked into contracts with my old company but would reach out when those expired. By Friday, I had commitments worth 6 figures in annual revenue, enough to launch. I registered an LLC, set up a business bank account, built a simple website. By Sunday, I was operational. My wife toasted me with wine that night. "To new beginnings," she said. "To new beginnings." We clinked glasses. "You're not going to tell him, are you?" she asked. "Tell who?" "Your son, that you're starting over." "Why would I?" "Because he might want to know." "He gave up the right to know when he forged my signature." She nodded slowly. "Fair enough." We finished the wine in silence. On Monday morning, I got my first project request. A client who'd worked with me for 15 years wanted help restructuring their supply chain. I took the call in my home office, the same office where this had all started 2 weeks ago. The conversation was easy, familiar. We talked through the issues, outlined a plan, agreed on a timeline. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. I opened my email and started drafting a proposal. My phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number again. Hastings. "My client is still interested in meeting. He says it's important," I typed back. "Tell him I'm busy." "He says he has information you'll want to hear." "About what?" "About the transition, about what really happened." I stared at the message. Then I deleted it. I didn't need to know what really happened. I knew enough. I spent the rest of the week building momentum. More calls, more projects, more clients. By the end of the month, I had 12 active engagements and a waiting list. The work was good, challenging, rewarding, and it was mine. No partners, no board, no son, just me. On the first of the following month, I got a call from my old operations manager. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello? Hey, it's me." "I know. I just wanted to check in, see how you're doing." "I'm fine. I heard you started something new." "Word travels fast. It's a small industry." "Apparently," she paused. "I also heard you're doing well, that clients are happy." "They are." "That's good. I'm glad. Is there a point to this call?" I wanted to apologize. For what happened, for not pushing back harder. "You made your choice." "I know, and I regret it." "Okay. Is that all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? That it's all fine? It's not fine. You enabled my son. You helped him steal my company. And now you want absolution. I can't give you that." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You're right. I'm sorry for calling." She hung up. I set the phone down and went back to work. The months passed. Summer turned to fall. Fall turned to winter. The business grew. I hired my first contractor, a logistics specialist I'd worked with years ago. Then another. Then a third. By the end of the year, I had a small team. Not employees, partners, people I trusted. We worked on complex projects, high-value clients, the kind of work I'd always wanted to do but never had time for when I was running the company. I didn't think about my son much. When I did, it was brief, a flash of anger or sadness or regret. Then it passed. My wife said that was healthy. I wasn't sure. In January, I got an email from my old partner. Subject, update. I almost deleted it, but I opened it instead. "Thought you'd want to know the company's been sold. A private equity firm made an offer we couldn't refuse. Everyone's moving on. I'm retiring for real this time. Your son is working at a startup in Seattle. I don't know if you care, but I thought you should know. Take care." I read it twice. Then I archived it. The company I'd built was gone. Bought, gutted, redistributed. I felt nothing. My wife found me staring at the screen. "What is it?" "The company sold." How do you feel? I don't know. That's okay. She kissed the top of my head and left. I closed the laptop and went for a walk. It was cold, the kind of cold that bites at your skin and makes you move faster. I walked until my face was numb and my thoughts were clear. When I got back, I made a decision. I was done looking back. February arrived with freezing rain. I spent most of it indoors, working through a backlog of projects. The business was stable, now predictable revenue, reliable clients, a rhythm I could trust. I didn't think about the old company. Didn't check in on what the private equity firm was doing with it. Didn't ask around about my son. I was done. But the past wasn't done with me. On a Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. This is Robert. Mr. Brennan? A man's voice. Young, nervous. Yes. This is Alex Chen. I used to work in operations at your company. I left a few months ago. Okay. I'm calling because I thought you should know something about what happened, about the transition. I set down the pen I'd been holding. I'm listening. I was there when your son and his spouse were planning everything. I didn't know what it was at the time. I thought it was just normal succession stuff. But after everything blew up, I started putting pieces together. And I found something. Emails, logs, proof that the timeline they presented to the board was fabricated, that your son knew you hadn't approved anything, that he did it anyway. I already know all this. But you don't have this. He paused. I have recordings. I sat up. What kind of recordings? Audio, from meetings. Your son and his spouse talking about how to manage the rollout, how to handle you if you pushed back, how to make it look legitimate even though it wasn't. Why are you telling me this? Because it's not right. What they did to you. I kept my mouth shut when I was there because I needed the job. But I'm gone now, and I think you deserve to know the truth. The whole truth. What do you want? Nothing. I just thought you should have the recordings, in case you ever want to do something with them. Like what? I don't know. Sue them. Expose them. Whatever you want. I thought about it. Send them to me. I'll email them to you tonight. Thanks. No problem. And Mr. Brennan? Yeah? For what it's worth, I always thought you were a good boss. You didn't deserve what happened. He hung up. I sat at my desk staring at the phone. My wife came in. Who was that? Someone from the old company. He says he has recordings. Recordings of what? My son. Planning everything, admitting it was unauthorized. She frowned. What are you going to do with them? I don't know yet. You could take them to a lawyer, build a case. For what? The company's already sold. My son's already gone. What's the point? Accountability. Or revenge. Maybe both. I leaned back. I don't know if I care anymore. Then why did you tell him to send them? Because I want to know. I want to hear it in his own words. She nodded. Okay, but be careful. Once you listen, you can't unhear it. That night, the email arrived. 3 audio files, each one about 20 minutes long. I downloaded them to my laptop and plugged in headphones. Then I hit play on the first one. My son's voice came through, clear and confident. Okay, so here's the plan. The retirement party happens Friday. That's the distraction. While everyone's there, I'll generate the signature and push the documents through. By the time he sees them, it'll be done. A woman's voice, his spouse. And if he notices the timestamp? He won't, not right away. And by the time he does, we'll have the narrative locked down. The board will think he approved everything. The clients will think it's a smooth transition. He'll look paranoid if he pushes back. What if he doesn't? What if he just accepts it? Then we win clean. But if he fights, we've got backups. We've been building a paper trail for months. Meeting notes, emails. Everything points to this being collaborative. Except it's not. Except he doesn't know that. My stomach tightened. I skipped ahead. Another conversation. Different day. I talked to the partner, my son said. He's on board. He thinks this is the right move. Does he know the timeline's fake? No, and he doesn't need to. He thinks we've been planning this with my dad for months. I showed him the documents. He didn't question them. What about the operations manager? She's nervous, but she'll fall in line. She needs this job more than she needs to ask questions. I paused the recording. My hands were shaking. I took off the headphones and stood up, pacing the room. My wife appeared in the doorway. You okay? No. What did you hear? Everything. He knew it was wrong. He knew I hadn't approved it. He did it anyway. What are you going to do? I don't know. You could go to the police. And say what? He used access I gave him. Technically, he didn't break any laws. He committed fraud. In a gray area, a lawyer could argue it either way. She crossed her arms. So he just gets away with it. He already got away with it. He resigned before anyone could fire him. He's in Seattle now, probably working on something new. This doesn't change anything. It changes what you know. I already knew. But now you have proof. I looked at the laptop. What good is proof if I'm not going to use it? Then why did you listen? I didn't have an answer. She sighed. You need to decide what you want. Closure, justice, revenge? Because right now you're stuck in the middle, and it's eating at you. She left. I sat back down and stared at the audio files. She was right. I needed to decide. I played the third recording. This one was different, quieter. My son and his spouse, late at night, speaking in low tones. Do you think he'll ever forgive me? My son asked. I don't know, his spouse said. I didn't want it to be like this. Then why did you do it? Because I couldn't wait anymore. I couldn't keep living in his shadow, waiting for him to decide I was ready. I had to take it. And now? Now I don't know. I got what I wanted, but it doesn't feel the way I thought it would. Regret? Guilt? You'll get over it. Will I? She didn't answer. The recording ended. I sat in silence. Then I deleted all 3 files. I didn't need them. I didn't want them. I already knew everything I needed to know. My son had betrayed me. He'd planned it. He'd executed it. And he felt guilty. That was enough. I closed the laptop and went to bed. My wife was already asleep. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, I'd wake up and go back to work. I'd build my business, serve my clients, live my life, and I'd let my son live his, far away in Seattle, where we'd never have to see each other again.